We are back. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to the Mentors Show. Welcome to the Mentors Show. It's a great day. Welcome, Sylvia. How has your day been?
Welcome. I'm Dr. Olushola Ajide, your host on the
Yeah.
Mentorship Show, where we inspire you, help you reinvent yourself, and to make a positive impact in your community,
We are back.
your country, and on your continent. We mentor people across Africa. We bring you guests with inspiring life stories who are themselves transformation agents, making a positive change in their profession and nations. Subscribe to the
Welcome,
African Coach and
Miss
Mentorship
Humos.
YouTube
Welcome.
channel. Follow us
Yes.
on
Okay.
Instagram,
Trust. Well,
Facebook,
I'm doing
and
great.
Twitter.
Thank you. Capable. Welcome. Is the Mentors Show. On the Mentors Show, we always have guests who come here to fulfill the aim and the objective of this show, which is to inspire you, which is to help you reinvent yourself, help you renovate yourself, which is to help you make positive impact in your community, in your country, and on your continent. So we bring guests who are trailblazers, making positive impact, showing you that it's possible for you also to make positive impact in your community. And from the experiences of our guests, we learn life lessons. It's sometimes, our shows oftentimes is like a master class, if you like. We have guests who tells us, who break it down, showing us the way they think, their hopes and aspirations, and telling us also how they've been able to pivot, go through their own processes to be where they are today. And tonight is not going to be an exception. We have a great guest tonight that from our own experience, we will be learning great lessons that will help all of us to pivot. 2021 is a wonderful year. 2021 is a great year, and we all got to make positive impact in this year 2021. And so our guest tonight is coming. Hey, our guest is in the house. Wow. Great. Send me an invite and I'll just bring you in straight on so that we can have a wonderful time tonight. Excellent. Hey! Drum roll!
Hello, everyone. Really pleased to be here tonight.
Yeah. You're welcome. Welcome. Wow. Finally, we are here. We've been looking forward to this, and today it's happening, isn't it? Wow, great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, if you saw my teaser tonight, it's going to be great. We have a great guest in one of our guests again tonight. We always on this show bring you great and wonderful people making great impact in their various fields on earth, in their various community, and in their country and on their continent. And tonight is no exception. We have in the house Mrs. Florence Igboyaka, a serial entrepreneur, a person making positive impact. She is known as the period coach activist. She's an activist. She's making positive impact in the lives of people, standing and being a voice for those people who are voiceless, as it were. Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia is welcoming you onto this. Thank you, Sylvia. And she is she's a book coach, helping people to birth their vision about telling their stories through books. And she's doing that countless. And she's also an author of her own self, having up to 3 books, I guess. And this year, I know how many? 3. Oh, it's now 4. You see, it's now 4. And by the end of this year, perhaps maybe it will be 10. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a great time on this show tonight. So welcome, Mark, to the
Thank you
Mentor
so
Show.
very much. Thank you for having me. I'm really pleased to be here. It's really an honor. Thank you so much.
Great. All right, let's just go for it. Who is Mrs. Florence Igboyaka?
well, who am I? It's funny you ask this question because last weekend I was actually with a few people and I was like, you have to understand your purpose to be able to function on earth.
Okay.
And that is what you describe when you ask who you are. So I am a woman on the mission to help people discover their latent or hidden potential. I help them unleash and bring forth that potential and also teach them how to profit from it. So I do this through various means. I'm a social entrepreneur, which is where the area of charity and supporting like the period education comes in. I'm also, like you said, the book coach, where this is the area where I help people to, through their stories. Hey, Kennedy! Kennedy, I know you. Through their story, Kennedy and I worked in Microsoft several years ago.
Interesting.
So, yeah, through their stories, I help people to convert their stories into best-selling books. So bring out that story, use it to make an impact. For me, it's very, very important because, like I always tell people, where you've been to, where you are, there are people who are looking forward. There are a lot of people who aspire to get there. Your journey, be it your pain, what you've gone through, lessons you've learned, and putting that into a book gives you a voice to reach millions of people across the world. So I help people discover that story within. It could be your experience, it could be your skill, it could be your talent, put it into books and get that across the world. So that is one of the areas I express what my gifting, I believe. So I'm also a business strategist, and hi. I help businesses figure out how to strategize. I don't teach markets or anything, but I help you strategize around your business, find how you can create alternative source of revenues within a business. So those are some of the things I do. And you mentioned the period comic, of course. So I'm an advocate against period poverty. I don't like the fact that there's no proper education around periods, and I advocate against period poverty, and I do this through education using my books and also my organization that we set up, the Period Place, to promote and speak around period poverty and how to support girls and women undergoing period poverty.
Interesting.
So that's in a nutshell.
Interesting. Now you could see that, ladies and gentlemen, you could see that I couldn't even write because I am just say wow. Why? Because like I told you, for those of us who are guests, if you have watched the teaser, I said she's a person of many parts, and you could see how she has been able to compartmentalize and tell us various impacts she's making in the lives of women, those who are the reason why there must be education and awareness on period poverty. The reason why you as a person, if you are here tonight and you have something burning inside of you, there's a story going inside of you, or there's a pain you've gone through, she's advocating and she's here tonight, and you can reach out to her, go to her page, follow her page, subscribe to all the things she's doing, and you can begin to bring to birth your own pain and turn it into a story that will impact people. She underlined and bolded that word, impact, which is the reason why she's on this show tonight. Because on this show, we teach you and we help you to make positive impact in your community, in your country, and on your continent. So great. That's wonderful. Now, let's go back. Education-wise, how come? How did you find yourself in what you're doing?
Well, around the period education, that came about because I actually run a charity back home in Nigeria. It's over 7 years now. And the initial goal was to provide education sponsorship to girls who are struggling, and a lot of them are orphaned. So that was how we started. And Of course, it began to evolve because, again, when you start working with people, you identify the core needs they have. Education, of course, is priority.
Yeah.
But in working with people from such communities, we discovered that their well-being was something else we needed to look into. So we had to start a holistic support from spiritual. So we got them into knowing God once they came on the show, so on the program. So we had a monthly meeting where we brought them together. Then we realized some of the girls, because of their poor situation, some of them were leaving. We have some 9 people in a room, and some of them were abused.
Wow.
And we had a situation of a girl who got pregnant at 16, and then we decided to start counseling and talking to girls, because we knew they were going through not just, they were emotional things they were dealing with, given their background. So in the course of having the counseling sessions, so we're doing that every month, we got experts and they'll be able to support them. We also discovered, so they opened up and started talking about periods. They would ask us for underwear, they would ask us for, sanitary pads. So they became more comfortable with us. So it was in the course of that, I decided to go into different communities. I started talking, wanted to understand more, and I realized that period poverty is real. And I only thought about it growing up as a young girl. I had 3 older brothers. I was the first girl to come into puberty in my house, and I had no clue. My dad was the one that taught me about periods, and his knowledge was limited. So I knew what it was like. It affected me. I became very shy. I was a timid young girl growing up. So fast forward to this period that I went in to speak to girls. I went to a community school, and I realized it was still the same problem. And yet theirs was more because they needed products. But the education was also lacking. Some of them were having infections and different things, but they didn't even know what was going on. So that got me thinking. And in 2015 as well, I have a product. It's called Trisha Sanitary Pad, which I produced. And the focus was to help women with heavy flow. I was looking at Africa. How do we bridge that gap of substandard products? So I was already in that path. And I also now produce washable, sustainable pads for those girls. But speaking with them, I realized that education was still lacking. And then I started my investigation, came back to the UK, started speaking to parents of young girls, asking them, how do you have this conversation with your daughters? And I realized it wasn't just an African problem. Period education, lack of it, period poverty is global. So speaking with parents, I realized, and then I remembered my situation, and that was why I talked about books. Sometimes your pain can be what you will use to make a difference tomorrow. So I knew how it made me feel. And so I asked God, I needed to write a book, but I needed something different that young girls can relate to, young girls would love, and that was how I got inspiration to write the period comic. So when I wrote the period comic, it's a comic, it's a book. I had to come up with characters that girls can read about and aspire to be like. So that's the whole idea, and I thought that the book has to be diverse, so it covers girls from any culture, because like I tell people, period menstruation is no respecter of your culture, your pockets, or your, wherever you're from. It happens to all of us. So I had to make the book such that it captured girls from different class and captured girls from different cultures. So that was how the period comic started. That area of education started, and so far, thankfully, we've made a lot of impact. I remember when the COVID started in April, we put it up for free reads on Amazon. And that month alone, almost 15,000 pages was read globally for free. And that has continued to grow. I know the last time I checked September, we have over 17,000 for just that month. So that's to tell you that for me, that validated the fact that there was really a gap.
A need,
for people to go on there, because it was free access, they were reading it. So that kind of dovetailed into starting the period place. Like I said, I've always advocated against period poverty. So the focus of the period place is a safe place for all things period. Is a non-profit, but we're there to provide education, to guide parents, to teach them, and to also have products to distribute for girls undergoing period poverty. So that's how the period education started.
Wow,
Really.
wow, wow, wow. And you did not even mention the merchandise, the merchandise from the period. You've not mentioned the music, the period music.
Well, that actually, like I said, because when after period comic one, now we have period comic two, we have the journal, we have all of that. They're actually right here.
Yeah.
So after period comic one, to be honest, we're looking beyond even the merchandise. It's going to get into animated videos.
Yeah.
Because then more people can have access.
Mm.
So the merchandise, we have products that, because they're now brand, actually we are trademarking the name The Period Comic.
Mm.
That is almost over. So we have, we're going into hot water bottles. We have different things. We have bags. We have a lot of merchandise, water bottles that have come out of the period comic.
The period comic.
And yeah, it's still growing. We have pillows. We have things to just make girls excited, because the whole idea is we want to take away the stigma around periods. We want to make it something fun.
And household name, to become an household name in which among them they will not be shamed to discuss it.
Yes.
And to be able to wow.
Yeah. So that's how, those are the things we're doing with the period comic.
Interesting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are, for those who are live or you are watching a replay of this particular show, now you will see that our guest tonight has been able to unpack how she came into this, and it's first and foremost from an experience. So perhaps you also have an experience that you might seemingly maybe ashamed of. Perhaps that might be your point to making positive impact in the lives of other people who are going through that same experience all over the world. Like she has been able to explain, 17,000 people reading that on Amazon free of charge. That shows you there is interest for it. It means that's raw data showcasing that people have a need. So what is the problem you are going through as you are watching this show today, and you are feeling shy and you are feeling embarrassed about it? Perhaps it might be a link to your making positive impact on the earth. Perhaps it might be your why God has positioned you on this earth to make positive impact even in the lives of other people. Great. Now let's go to the next other section. Now take us back to Florence when she was 10 years old.
Well,
what were your dreams? Who were your heroes? Good evening, Chioma. Welcome. So who were your heroes at 10 years old?
Well, to be honest, at 10 years old, my dad was my hero.
Okay.
And because like I said, I have older brothers. I was a tomboy, believe it. I was a tomboy, jumping trees, climbing with my brothers. But something that I always had, which I think I got from my dad, was the compassion part of what I do today. My dad was a man who would give his last for somebody else, and he would go without. So I think that was something I always had. Even as a little girl, I would find myself wanting to do things for people. I find myself organizing things, asking people, can you have this? It's always been there. And at 10, yes, I was a tomboy, playing around my brothers. Didn't really have an ambition. But that seed of who I was already growing in me. I just love to gather people to tell stories. But of course, I was really intrigued by comics. It's funny because I look back to them like, wow, I remember I used to draw cartoons myself. And probably because my elder brothers were also they're artists. One is an architect. They're very good with graphics and all that. So they used to bring comics home, and I'll be part of it as well. Read the comics. So I also have my own imaginations at that age. I watched a lot of movies, but my dad was it for me. And I picked a lot from him that his legacy lives on in me, to be honest. My dad is late now, but a lot of the things he does, people say, oh, you're the one that acts like daddy and all that,
Interesting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you would pick up something from what our guests are just mentioned now, which actually some of the things we are supposed to be doing or supposed to be to make positive impact, like somebody mentioned, is already inside of you. you don't need to look outside. Oftentimes, we're often looking from outside. You know,
Yeah.
we're often looking from outside. Some of the things, like I am a trained child evangelist, and we're told in CEM that between the ages of everything a child will become between the ages of 0 to 5 is already in that child. What the child is going to aim to become and what the child is going to be. Welcome, Sister Law. Welcome, welcome. So what the child will train to become already is in that child. Now look at it that we would know even then if they told you that, oh, a day will come, you're going to have a production of books, a comic that will be helping girls all over the world, you will say no, it's not true. Because you cannot see that, but it was locked in there, and now it's helping and pushing, helping people to come out of the stigmatization and to go forward even in life. Excellent. Wow, this is great. Now,
Thank you.
having looked at, okay, that was you, and the point where now there's an aspect of you which you have not told us about your time. You've not told us about your time in Microsoft and some of those international agencies you worked for. And because I told people, I said, you're a person of many parts. And so we want to learn and glean from every part to see, for us to pivot, because all of us on this show tonight, and even those who are watching the replay, in 2021, each of us must pivot to the next level. Remove all those wrong beliefs and move to the next level. So tell us about that aspect.
Okay. Well.
And how did you get into Microsoft? Because to work for Microsoft, only very intelligent people. She said, thank you. Laura says she's a woman on a mission. Yes, she is.
Funny enough, that's how I introduced myself. I'm a woman on a mission. Thank you.
So how did you get into Microsoft? Because only very intelligent people work in Microsoft.
Okay, that was by divine arrangement. I can't even take the glory for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've been somebody.
What were you doing before then? And how did you get into Microsoft?
Okay. I was actually at the time working for a project management organization. I'm a project manager as well.
Okay.
So I was working for a project management organization, and at the time we had a consortium. So there was HP, there was Microsoft, it was IT project. I was managing the project. So I was a project manager, and we had about 5 organizations as part of the consortium. So each project managers, and Microsoft, HP were the other partners. And so on the project, they approached me. They wanted to poach me the first time. I refused. So I never applied to Microsoft. In fact, they had offered me a second position, and I had to meet my boss at the time to say, sir, this is what's happening. But truly, I had paid my dues where I was. And second time, when I spoke to my boss, he said, Florence, take it. Take it. This is a lifetime opportunity. And that was it. So I never officially applied. I never, and that's why I said it's divine arrangement. I can't take glory. But the way I see my life and the journey, even for the places I worked, is I believe they were training grounds for me. Because after Microsoft was when I set up my business. So they were all training grounds for me, because I realized that all my learnings there became very relevant when I had to start my business. So I already knew how to model, because I started from admin even at Microsoft, although I had been the project manager before getting into Microsoft, then I grew as well. And then when I was leaving, I was managing Anglophone West Africa, and I had almost 18,000 organizations under my purview at the time. But that helped me to understand structure and how multinationals think in setting up organizations. So that was really helpful. So going through all of those journey of working, for me, it was just a school. So that's how I see it. It was my school to prepare me for the next level. Reading.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I want to underscore some of the things you mentioned there. And I think it's important, the fact that what you had at hand, you were able to demonstrate, you were able to do the job based on which you were given. And because you did the job so well, those people felt, wow, this is somebody that must come and work for us. So if you are watching this particular event, this show tonight, or you are watching a replay of it, there's a need for you in your current role to go above and beyond, so that from that it will lead to what the next thing that will come for you, like our guest is showcasing. The second thing I think is very important there was the part that you said it was a school for you. So, and some people, when they work in some places, they always have, some might have this mindset of, I would come and kill myself. When you have such an attitude, you are not going to be successful in life. Like somebody said, for you to be successful wherever you are working there now, act as if you are the CEO, you are the chief executive officer. In that regard, you will be able to work anywhere. You'll be able, because you will take responsibility. You will not allow things to go anyhow, and that would help you to pivot to become the owner of your own business, which is what has been your own experience. Acting there as a project manager, taking care of stakeholders, dealing with the cost, dealing with everything, handling, overseeing 18,000 emails, everything, and all those things, dealing with all those organizations has helped you significantly today in to what you are doing. So it's important that wherever and whatever we have a time to do, even like the Bible says, do it with all thy heart, because it's important that we do that. Wow, great. Now, it's interesting. Now, this show is called Sparking Creativity, is based on sparking creativity. In other words, to say, for some people who are seemingly, and this is what got me thinking and how this show came about, the fact that quite a lot of people, this pandemic has affected quite a lot of people, and they've become they've lost their jobs. Quite a lot of people cannot be able to. So now, how would you advise someone who have lost their job and now seemingly there's no income? How can they reinvent themselves in this kind of seemingly everything seems to be crumbling economically in the nation, in the world? So how would you advise someone for them to reinvent themselves and to come up again?
Well, a couple of things. First, I'm not even going to mince words. You have to get inspiration from God.
Okay.
You need to go back and look inwards. Because all you need to succeed is already inside of you. That's the truth. And sometimes you need to take your eyes away from the normal or what you are used to and open your heart for the opportunities. I'll use my example. Now, when the lockdown started in March 2020, here in the UK, I was home. I felt, oh my gosh, enough time to relax. I was watching movies because I'm super busy normally. And I felt relaxed. Initially we thought, 3 weeks it will be over, 1 month. So I did that for a couple of weeks. And at some point, I had to sit down and I asked myself some important life questions. I'm like, it's good to relax, it's good to rest, but life is passing you by. What are you going to be doing? And that's when I began to consciously, because that's very important, ask God, what next? What am I supposed to do? And in that place, I birthed 2 new things in the lockdown. Like I said, something you have to think about is it might not be the way you are used to, the idea that will come to you. So for me, I sat down, and after Period Comic 1, different people had been reaching out. How did you publish? How did you become a bestseller? So I found myself sitting at home, and I'll be advising people. And one of those days, I just finished speaking with somebody for like 2 hours, and it just dropped in my spirit. Write a book. Teach people your journey to help them. And that was how I write that book already. And I wanted, because I said I could do it in 2 weeks because it's my story. I know the pitfalls, I know the stress I went through with my first book. What lessons did I learn? So it was also from a place of what can I do? Because even if you want to find something. Your hands must find something that will make a difference. If you're not solving a problem, if you're not meeting somebody's need, then you cannot get revenue. Somebody, you must be giving value for someone to want to part with their money for you in any economy. So that was it. I wrote the book, and just as I was finishing the book, I got the inspiration that this is a program. You can help people. And that was how I started coaching people how to write books. And like you mentioned, in 7 months, as at December, we celebrated 30 books in 7 months. And I help people, because it wasn't about, oh, let's write a book. It was about helping people to pull out that resource within them. And people have generated revenues from their books. Many of them became bestsellers. And that's something they're excited about. So what am I saying? I'm using my own story. What did I do? Because I could have sat down and not followed that force to say, okay, things are bad. Why don't I apply for a normal job? Why don't I? But I looked inwards. Already I had it in me. I had it in me. And taking that first step of writing the book, as when I wanted to write that book already, I didn't even know I was going to start a coaching program. But taking a first step, as you take a step in the right direction, you become clear. It becomes clearer what you should do. And I beg you, do not copy anybody, because trust me, all you have to be great is already in you just need to tap into that resource you have within, and you discover that hidden treasure. In these difficult times, you will find out you just blossom.
Interesting.
That's what I will say.
Interesting. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching, what you can hear from our guests tonight is the part that at that point when you've only answered one part, we'll come to the second part later.
Okay.
Now, so we'll come to the other part later. Now, the point in which when you look at what is happening today, losing a job, a good, regular income is challenging enough on its own. And sometimes, oftentimes, we come to that point of feeling it's as if the world has ended. It's as if it is finished. Oh, how would I pay my bills? And all the bills and everything will come around. And what we are hearing from our guest tonight, even though she's working as a project manager on a project here in the UK, she felt, okay, now I have time to rest. I've been working with governments, intergovernment relationship. I've been doing all that. Okay, let me at least relax, seemingly relax. But until God came knocking and said, hey, what are you doing there? What are you doing there? You are watching film, you are watching Netflix, making more money for Netflix. Won't you make your own money? And to the glory of God now, you too, you're also making your money. Netflix is making theirs. And you've been able to have products. And I think this is very important, of the fact that whatever you need is already in you. It's just for you to sit down, turn your pain to gain. Turn your pain to gain. And I think that if you're watching tonight, this is very important, that whatever level and wherever level you think, no matter how convenient, good wherever you are, there's still a place called higher. There's still something better. There's still something greater. I was listening, just as a side comment, I was listening to Jimmy Tewe, who was talking about transition, how he was receiving 900 and something thousand pounds of naira in some years as a bank manager who has a mortgage and everything. And all of it, one day he said he resigned from it. People thought maybe he was mad. Imagine you having 900 something thousand as a bank manager. You feel that's the climax. You already have a mortgage. You already have a good car. But he resigned from it not knowing what next. And today he's doing way, 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 way better than that. So there's something bigger. There's something better for you if you make. So just to wrap up some of the points you mentioned. So if you've lost your job or you are impacted by COVID, first, stand still and breathe. At least breathe. When you breathe, like our guest has told us, then you go back to God and ask, so what can I do? And this comes back from the point of that 5 questions. I had a session, a masterclass on teaching on purpose over the weekend. and I was mentioning the 5 key questions. The number 4, which is capacity. What can I do? So during this COVID, what you should be asking yourself, like our guest is saying, what can I do now? You have the capacity. Everything you need is already in you. So it's important that we, and like she mentioned, don't copy anybody. You are already unique. You are original. You have everything it takes. And let me also, just to buttress your point, this mentor show, when the lockdown started, it started during the lockdown. We started May 14th, and the point I was thinking, what will happen? Wow, everything is going. I was supposed to have a conference in Botswana. Now this has happened. What do you do? Then why start something and let people be watching you online. Then later you go to that place, but first start a meeting online. Then I had this mind that the lockdown must not end. Something positive must come out for me during this lockdown. And to the glory of God, we are in now since May, and we are going stronger and better. So whatever it is, idea coming to your mind, don't stop. Start. Yeah. Take action. Don't be afraid. Take action. If you are feeling so jittery and so unsure, look for mentors. Look for people who have done what you have done, because everything we are doing, somebody has already done it. Reach out to somebody. They are willing to help you, to advise you, and you would be. The key point of all this story or our talking tonight is that by the grace of God, if you are watching this or watching a replay, December 31st, by the grace of God, 2021 should not meet you the way you are now. You should be better. You should be bigger. You should be brighter. You should have great accomplishments, even like our guest tonight is telling us. Okay, let's go for it. How would you define creativity?
Creativity, how do I define it? Let's not use the English dictionary. Creativity is bringing from within you ideas and putting them in a perspective that is unique and different from others. So you can be creative in different things. Some people call themselves and say they are creatives because they do a particular kind of job, or they like maybe a photographer, an artist. But I believe that every human can be creative because in being creative, you bring out that side of you, the uniqueness of you, into whatever you are able to do or that you are doing. And there's always your own dimension. I like what you said, that there's nothing you're doing that is new, and that is true. But what makes it different is the perspective that you bring into it.
Correct.
So there's nothing new anybody's going to do. But the difference is there's nobody that can do it like you are doing it. There's nobody. I don't care what it is. You might have had similar stories in terms of maybe pain or journey, but your own is still your own. And it makes you unique and authentic. So bringing that into creativity, and that's why I would say everybody's a creative. As long as you open your mind that you don't limit yourself, you can be anything. Honestly, you can be anything you want to be.
And I think that point you made is as long as you open your mind and you don't close your mind, you can be anything. And I think that's one of the key points in which this show is trying to unravel, is the fact that you need to break all those limiting beliefs. All those things, I cannot write a book, or I guess some of the people that are publishing will say, I cannot write a book. I even have some I will tell you I had F9 in English. Or
yes, I've had that. Some people that said I've been writing for 12 years and they finished their book in 30 days. They went home. And for me, the great lesson in all of this is we are placed on earth and we have an assignment for time. Don't hold back. You know, I could have looked at, I'm like, writing book, what is that? If you asked me January 2020 about book, I'll say no, never. I'm thinking very consulting, professional level.
Florence McKinsey, EY.
So I would never have thought, but the thing is, And it's in your faithfulness and obedience that God unveils the bigger picture.
The bigger picture, yeah.
He unveils it as you take that first step. So don't look at it that, what I'm thinking, it's not as great as other people. Theirs sounds really posh, it sounds really good. Mine is so small and insignificant. That's not true. That's not true. Don't hold back on what you have. Release yourself and be what you ought to be. You'll be amazed what will happen. I was crying in December when I saw 30 books in 7 months. I did not believe it. Now I'm confident to set targets for 2021.
Yeah. To say 2021, we are going to have 100. It's possible.
200 actually.
200. See, I was 200, which is possible. It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and I think it's important. Then, and before I even comment on that, you mentioned a key point which we have been emphasizing since we started. You said creativity is bringing out from within. From within, there's something inside of you. There's something inside of you. It's for you to sit down and discover that and bring it out. You are creative. You are already unique on your own. So it's for you to sit down and say, okay, what is it that is in me that will be a blessing to the world? And bring that thing out. And as you bring it out, it will now be a great blessing to other people, making positive impact. And like we keep saying on this show, is that when we go around in our communities, let's even assume that, okay, there's nothing inside of you. It's an assumption, but it's not true. It's not true. As you walk in your community, there are things around. There are social problems. Like our guest mentioned in the introduction, as we started discussing about the ladies, how she came into this period situation. Those young girls that were coming, she opened her eyes to see. She was not walking around with closed eyes to know that this is a social problem and we need to do something about it and take ownership of it. And through that, today now, you now have a company and a business doing various aspects of publishing books, creating merchandise, creating things, creating comics, creating even animated films and everything. So it's possible, but please look around you. You are the solution. Like I keep telling somebody, people, you see, I don't like when people say, who am I? You are somebody. See, until you see yourself as significant on this earth, you will not make any impact. You will not make any impact. You just sit down. You are significant, you are unique. And that, I think, is very important. Now, please tell us, somebody wants to make positive impact, and he says, I don't have money. How should the person go ahead? Particularly when we talk about Nigeria, not even in the Western world in which you can find funding, grants, and everything there. Say, for example, in Nigeria, how would the person go ahead? Thank you, Becky, for that. Creativity is also transforming available resources into something new and useful. Thank you, Becky. Thank you. Sylvia is saying there are opportunities and challenges. Correct. Turning problems into solutions. Yes. So for someone who wants to make a change and is want to begin to see, and like she said, and see challenges and say, but I don't have money. What would the person do? What should the person do?
Well, I'm going to burst the bubble right here and now. Your first problem is not financing a project. When you have an idea and it's about making impact, let's say you want to start something, for instance, you want to go into a community and clean up, they have refuse all around, you're thinking, how can we clean up this community? It starts from you. Now, you have to define the problem you want to solve, how you want to solve it, and with whom you want to solve it. Why are you solving that problem? You start from defining that need and how to meet the need. Another thing I'll say is a lot of times, if you want to be honest, I've been running a charity for several years in Nigeria. I haven't gotten funding from anywhere. I started from the little I had. There's nothing wrong in starting small and growing. The problem is a lot of people and feel they want to be up there before they have paid the price and paid their dues. Sometimes you may have to go and learn under somebody else who has a similar vision. Understudy what they are doing. Know how they're doing it. So yes, you have your vision, no doubt. But you must humble yourself to learn from other people, because especially if it's a path you've not treaded before. So you can offer yourself as a volunteer to help some other people whilst you learn. Another thing you can do is you start it yourself. Don't wait for funding. Start the much you can do. And as you begin to do, one thing I found that is if you take up that step of faith, challenges are given. Nobody who has grown a business will tell you that it was all rosy. I don't think so. Thank you. You have to go through the process. So you will start with other things. The money would come. And then you must learn to network and align yourself with the right people. If you see people who are already doing what you want to do, like I said, you can volunteer yourself. Enter the networks. Thank God, thankfully, those are the ones in the global village. You can be part of networks. You can offer yourself to speak on that subject matter. And then gradually make yourself an authority. The money will come. But like I said, start small. Start small. When I started my charity supporting girls, I started with one person until we grew to 30 children, 40 children, 50 children. That didn't happen in one day. I asked myself, how much do I have that I can start with now? It was very little, but it was something.
Yep.
So there are different things you can do. It depends. It varies depending on the kind of impact you want to make, depending on the kind of area. Specifics, if I could say specifics, I can say if this is it, these are the things to do. But these are generic ideas on how to start. And you can even use people that you know. I did that for many years in my charity, especially when I started the spiritual part of impacting the children. I reached out to my local church. I asked for volunteers. And I said, could you volunteer once a month to come and teach these children about Christ? I wasn't even in Nigeria. I needed that help. So I had to use my relationships. So there are different things. And once people hear you're doing a charity, they see your sincerity. Because that's something else that happens in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say, there are a lot of people that are not honest when it comes to charity work.
It's just a race income. Source of income.
When people see your sincerity, and I'm not going to tell people I'm going to jump up and give you money tomorrow because it's their charity. I did it for several years, nobody gave me money. So, but when some people see your sincerity, they will buy into your vision. But be ready to start small, go through the process, make your mistakes while you're still small, you're still impactful to people. Make the mistakes then. Because when you grow, if you just blow, like I say in Nigeria, without going through the process, the crashing might be bad and it might not be sustainable. That is why we see a lot of businesses that bought, and we have the statistics, 80-something% by year 3, they've crashed. So your foundation must be laid right. And that was one thing I did when I was setting my charity. I said to myself, because this is a faith-based charity, I don't want anybody to tamper with the values that I'm setting. And one of the values for everybody who is handing over their child for us to train or to do anything, you sign an undertaking that will expose them to Jesus Christ. That was a basic. So from day one, it was part of our documentation. So, but if I had brought a lot of funders without being solid in my values and showing evidence of work that I have done, they might come and say, no,
you cannot bring free.
I'm bringing that. You understand?
Yeah.
So I was happy to start with one child or 2 children, but my foundation was laid right. So for me, that's what I would say really.
Interesting. Wow. Now, if there's any question you want for our guests tonight, just let me know and we'll be able to ask the question as we are unpacking our own questions from here. Now, I want you to take us to from.
More question.
Eh?
I said more question.
Our question is coming. We are unpacking the questions little by little. Now,
Okay.
from your own experience, and you've alluded to it, or the fact you are, for example, you are a strategist when it comes to advising businesses, and that I assume came from quite a lot of things you learned from your organization, from your experiences where you worked before, project management, and all the things, and all those things you. Now, say for example, in just to break it down, and this question comes from that point of overseeing. You mentioned earlier, I think there are two questions in one I want to ask. There are two questions I want to ask, but the first one is, what is most critical for somebody starting a business? Because I know some of our people audience here tonight are, as you know, young people aiming to do something, start a business, and they are looking at, oh, what is most critical in starting a business, small SMEs, particularly to run well in Nigeria. That is the first aspect of the question. The second aspect of the question, or is now bigger. You said while you were with Microsoft and other projects, you were able to see how international organizations, how they think, their culture is different, the way they structure. What are those? How do they think that make, so those are two questions I want you to unpack for us.
Okay. So the first I would say, before you start a business, a lot of times we run off to start businesses based on passion. Passion is very good. It holds you. But beyond passion, you must think of, I think I mentioned that already, what solution you're providing, because nobody cares about your passion really, aside from your family members and your friends. They do. Because in the real world of business, they might start off liking your idea, but after a while they'll get bored of you. But in the real world of business, a business that must thrive must be filling a gap. And the gap you're filling is such that you've done your research to find out that people are ready to part with their money for that idea that you have. Because at the end of the day, I want to believe that a business is such that you are selling something, whether goods or services, to gain a profit from it. So it is not so much as in what you like, but it's something that you want to be sure that other people are interested in. And especially with so many, it's a very competitive world out there right now. We have different products budding all over the place daily. More businesses are opening. In fact, some people, their New Year resolution is to open a new business. So now, as much as you found the gap that you want to fill, it's good to niche. Very important, because you can't serve everybody. Even people that are selling water, there is the premium water, there is pure water, like they call it in Nigeria, the one in sachets. There is the same water, somebody's selling it for, I don't know how much they sell now, let's say 5 naira. Somebody is selling a bottle of water at maybe 300 naira. Just, I don't know what it is now. But now, once you found out the gap you're feeling, you want to understand your client's desires. Some of them, based on their desires, will prefer premium products. So where are you positioning your idea? Who is your ideal client? I'm sure you've heard this said over and over, but it's very important, because not everybody is your ideal client. If you have a product that is for everybody, then that's the first error. Your product can't be for everybody. You have to define it and then grow from there. So first, what gap are you feeling? Backed up by your passion, but you have to be sincere and honest with yourself. Because like I said, a lot of us start off, I just love this. Nobody is loving what you love. Are you meeting my need? I don't care about your problem. I have my own issues. I have my own issues. So identify the gap you're feeling. find out who you're selling this product in, because it will reflect in your marketing and sales. So you have to know, because when you understand their language, then you understand, when you know who you're selling to, then you know how to target your adverts and marketing strategy to address the particular audience. Because if I have a headache and you bring me paracetamol, I will say thank you. Think about it like that. But if I have headache and you bring me cough syrup, you have not helped me. It's like selling steak to a vegetarian. He's not going to buy your steak.
No.
Yeah. So those are the key first things I would say to consider when going into business. I think I gave you more than 1 point. You said one.
Yeah, so well, that is for business. Now the other second part of the question question has got to multinationals, running organizations, and how what you learned from them. That's
one of the things I learned is structure.
Okay.
What makes McDonald's the same after 100 years? For instance, you go to
Sorry about that.
You go to McDonald's in London.
Yeah.
Okay. So for them, it's about structure. Why the multinationals thrive, and they're there decades and decades and decades later. And what is structure really? It's about the systems and processes you put in place. That is what helps your business to thrive, even when the owner is not there. When you run your business like you are the only person in it, you don't think large scale. You don't think, and that's one of the challenges a lot of people have when they start a business. They don't know that you have to, even if you're the only one in your business at that time, you've not hired anybody. You want to write down, how do I do my auditing? Step by step. Your process. How does it connect to the next level? The next thing, how do I hire? But you first start, what is my vision and mission? I find that a lot of small businesses, they go and copy other people's vision and mission. What is your own failure? Because I give you an example. What was Microsoft's mission? Microsoft's vision at the time, Bill Gates said, I want a PC in every home. That was his vision in 1975. It became a reality because he knew where he was going. Everything was tailored towards that, and they worked towards it. Let's look at Google. What is Google's vision? To be the world's largest search engine. Are they not the world's largest search engine? That is their vision. So if a business starts, why you see the multinationals thriving? They're clear. Everybody working there knows where the organization is headed. They understand. So as you come on, there's the onboarding. They can take 1 week. Don't work. We're just training you. You're understanding our values. You're understanding what makes us tick. You're understanding our principles. What we tolerate, what we don't tolerate. Then we will take it to a very beautiful hotel. Take it to one. But they're training you, and you get to imbibe those values. You wake up, somebody asks you, what's Microsoft about? You know what it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of organizations don't do that. And small organizations start. They're not even very clear as to what their vision is, what their mission. Mind you, your mission is the vehicle of how you want to achieve your vision. That's what your mission is. The vision is, what do you see the future of this organization? What do you want this organization to be? So forget, it's not like, oh, I want to start selling food. What is the vision of this organization? So that's something the multinationals do. They're clear.
They're clear.
And they let even the driver in that organization understands it. The other thing they talk about structure. There's a manual of process and procedures and how it relates to everybody's work. So because they've set that in motion, the CEO doesn't have to be there for me to operate. And that is why McDonald's in London would taste the same, their burger would taste the same as the one in Aberdeen. Because they know 2 pinch of salt, this is the measure of sugar. They have handed down that manual and everybody's replicating it. But a lot of times, we small businesses, when we start, we don't write down. We leave everything in the head of the owner. And you get frustrated. But you say, this one doesn't know their work. They're not doing their work. Have you communicated
To them.
to them? go into your head. Yes, they're coming with their expertise. Remember, where they're coming from another value system.
Different culture. Yeah.
So you need to explain your own culture. And you must communicate it in such a way that people are proud, your team members are very excited. Because people are proud of, when you talk of multinationals, people are proudly talking about them like they own it. But it's something you do with your personnel as well. When you're onboarding them, you train them such that they place value on what. And a lot of times when the headhunters for the multinationals go, they look for people and they ask you why do you want to join them. For some of us small organizations, we've added it in our interview question, not even understanding why they have it. They want to know if you align with their values. So these are some of the tips, and there are many more.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you would agree with me. Choma, Sylvia, Ward, Aliyah, who are constant people here. You will see that tonight again is another like a master class. We've had this. I told you 2021 is a great year. We have people coming who are, and Becky, sorry, I didn't mention Becky, who are coming to take us up to the next level. This year we must all pivot. We must move to the next level and begin to make substantial change in our world. Wow. Now, thank you very much for that. And I think it's important, this point you made about passion is not enough. That's what I'm hearing you say. To start a business, passion is not enough. Passion is not enough. You need to get the rudiments. You need to get it right. And you have mentioned critically knowing that whatever you are offering is actually meeting a particular need, and know what do those people need. So you don't begin to give them what they don't want. Begin to give them wrong medication. I think that's important. And you've also told us about multinationals' structure, looking at how they have those documentations of how things need to be done, and which which I think you mentioned. Oftentimes, most people think of they want to scale up without structure. In which, if the managing director, you as the founder, is no more there, nobody can do anything because you are out of the picture. Everything is in you. And that, I think, is a great thing which, CEOs and people, and CEOs like yourself also, try to do, replicate this.
Actually, like I said, sorry to cut you, that was something I introduced to my business, and which is why for over 7 years my business was running in Nigeria and I was in the UK. A lot of people could not understand it. They're like, how do you run a business? People that are even physically in their businesses,
they cannot survive.
They don't survive. So, it helps if you have structure.
It helps if you have structure. And I think this is very, very important. Now, even though you've told us earlier, and you've told us that even your business is around social enterprise, you're using that social enterprise model, I will still need to ask this question because that's my own passionate area of research. What CSR do you do? I know all those ones you mentioned. I would have said, oh, that is CSR, but I don't want to assume. What aspects of, apart from the issue of period, for women, which is a social cause, which is good, what corporate social responsibility does your organization, and are you also passionate about?
Okay, sorry, I'm going to come back to the period thing. Now, the social enterprise module that we set up in Nigeria, though, is on hold for now because we're going to revamp a lot of things.
Okay.
But it's still around periods. I started off as a charity where I was supporting widows, young girls, and I started like a training for young adults who are graduates from university in Nigeria at the time, because I saw there was a huge gap between graduates and the workplace. So I needed to bridge that gap because we have universities were churning out graduates every year. But when, as an employer of labor, I found out that when I held interviews, there was a huge gap. So I started doing a training about bridging employability gaps to see what they needed, what tools, because of course we know that some of the institutions are dated in terms of the tools they used to teach. So, but to train them, to update them on tools required so that when they're employed, they can fit in. But anyways, in terms of the social enterprise model is around the period education and product. If you remember, I mentioned that we started producing sustainable period products for the charity and for the girls from poor communities. Now, so the model was such that with us as an organization, which is Fortunes Dynamics Foundation, what we did was because I was already working with widows, we now bring the widows, select a few of them, and train them in tailoring for 3 months. So after they are trained to produce the washable sanitary pads.
All right.
So after we train them, we only keep 2 in our employment. You can have up to 5 that would afford to train. We leave them to go on and begin to sew for themselves and generate revenue on their own. So the other 3, we leave them in employment. So they produce the product. So we have then employed them. They're producing for us. So the product is now given. People are then asked to make donations to give out for charity. So it's a whole pack. So the pack has underwear, which was one of the requirements of the girls, giving them other things to help them through their period journey. So it's a pack they get. So we give the packs away. So people can choose to donate, and then we can sell some of the products for other people. And that's how we generate revenue and recycle back into the system, into the social enterprise. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the model.
Wow. Interesting. Now, Chioma, Becky, no question. I'm surprised too, because this has been it has been a wonderful time of and do you know that we have spent more than 1 hour?
Really?
It's 8:20.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's 8:20, and if I continue like that, I know you're busy and other things you want to do, so we need to allow you go. So Chioma and Co should she come back, because we need to have another time of a master class. Yes, you're going to come back. You're going to come back. But we'll plan on that one. You're going to come back because we've not been able to unpack and get all the things we need to get. So yeah, you need to come back. So we want to thank you very much.
Did you say I should come back?
How do you merge she said, how do you merge your career with your family life?
It's about structure.
Okay. And so not just say about how. So how?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy. Especially when you're starting something new. We want you back. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. It's not easy, especially when you're starting something new. Like when I started the coaching program last year, I had to. Unfortunately for me, I had been on a training on how to coach. That was 2 years prior to last year. So when I started, I made a lot of mistakes, and I gave it too much of my time until I systemized, which is why I'm going back to structure, because it's systemization.
Yep.
I have to systemize my process so that everything is not dependent on me. But when I started it, I had to give it my all. Sometimes I'll be working till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because I have people who are reaching out from Canada. The time zone difference, it was too much. It was overwhelming. I remember I was getting so angry. I'm like, I don't even have time. I cannot think. I can hardly sleep. People are needing my help. It was too much. It was overwhelming. So I had to slow down, and I had to take some steps. When you run a business, at some point, like when you're starting, everything depends on you. But that same thing I was talking about system, it applies in everything you're doing. Even though it's coaching I was doing, I had to bring those things I would normally tell people. Step 1, do this. I had to systemize it. And once I systemized it, all I needed to do was give you the access, go through the process. If you have any questions, then we can talk. So that made the time I had to spend limited. And I needed to spend on my family because, to be honest, my husband was complaining that that how would you be? What? How can you be? Don't you have closing hours? 1 a.m. It was becoming a problem. So I had to systemize. So now I'm not struggling with that aspect because, of course, I have so many things I'm doing at the same time. So I need to apportion my time. I'm planning. Maybe because I'm a project manager, planning is key. How to plan, because your body needs rest. Your mental health and well-being is very important. Because if you push yourself and you break down, then whatever you're chasing is wasted. So it's about balance. I remember when I was Microsoft, they used to tell us work-life balance. They insisted you must have well, I didn't remember all that, to be honest, when I was in this situation. But eventually, I had to advise myself. I said, this is the much you can take. And that was something, like I said, I had a workshop over the weekend with a group of people. And that's something I said. We need to evaluate where we're coming from. And we did an evaluation of 2020 from family, work, business. What happened? What worked? What did not work? Because if you think that 2020 is over, now let me start 2021. You did not automatically change as a human being on the 31st of December of 2020.
Correct.
The giants and gaps, the problems you had, if it was procrastination in 2020, it has followed into 2021. And until you sit down and say, what did I, and be honest, this is honest conversation with yourself, not anybody, and ask, what was my issue? What happened? Where did I miss it? And you're not apportioning blame now, because we, as humans, we tend to say it's this one that caused it. It means if you do that, you're actually giving that person power. And the reality is you have the power over your life. As long as you let God. Because if you say, oh, this was the person that caused it, you're not being honest. But when you look inwards, you find that I might have missed it here and there.
Yeah.
And so how do you fix that problem? So that was what I did. And I told myself, I said, last year I was too burdened. This was the reason. I said, oh, now I get it. I'm going to fix that problem. And so I made decisions and I started new habits. And that habit is, when it's this time, I log off. I don't care what email you are sending me. Even if you give me £1 million, I will not.
Well, this.
Distraction.
Yeah.
I will not attend to it. You know, like if over the weekend somebody sent me a message or something about her book. I did not on Monday. I called and said, I apologize. I don't work on weekends. Some of the person said, you will lose customer. But she said, oh, I'm so sorry. I understand. Oh, weekend, yes. So there are things you have to tell yourself and you put in place. And then people would learn. If people value you, and that's something. If they see you give value, trust me, they won't go anywhere else.
They won't go anywhere else.
So this is just my own. So that was what I did, and I'm still working on it. I'm still a work in progress, so I'm not there yet. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So Becky has said you need to come back. Chioma has said you need to come back. And I'm also saying you need to come back. So say the highs have it. Hey, there's no nay here now. The highs have it. Thank you so much for coming to inspire us. Thank you so much for sharing life lessons, practical lessons, and I know it's just been a wonderful time with you tonight. We are really grateful for your time, and we know that when we come back again, we'll reach out to you before you come, and we'll make our list very long and the questions very long, so I'll be able to get more. Yeah, Chairman says they adapt and adapt. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. So we are very grateful, Ma. Thank you so much. Please greet the family.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, wow. It's been a wonderful night tonight with our guests. It's just been wonderful. It's just wonderful. She's been able to unpack and been able to lay emphasis on those areas of her. And I believe that with this, you'll be able to make 2021 a better year. So that at the end of 2021, you are, counting your blessings, moving in bounds and in leaps. So thank you very much for being with us tonight. Chioma, Becky, Sylvia, I thank you. Ward, Aliyah, thank you very much for being with us. And all those who came also on, thank you very much for being with us tonight. On Friday, by the grace of God, we have a great time with one of our wonderful guests that will be coming again. So see you on Friday by the grace of God. Like I promised, and which God has been helping us to fulfill the promise. Our guests this year, they're just helping us go to the next level. And Friday will be another wonderful time with our guests coming on Friday to help us go to the next level in our fulfillment of purpose and impact on earth. Thank you very much. So see you on Friday by the grace of God. Bye.